So my honors thesis, I decided to do a creative project in lieu of like an actual paper, I guess. And so I decided to create a player piano by integrating Lego Mindstorms and the Arduino. So although Lego has created robots with their NXT and RCX lines, and although Lego has released its own programming platform to control these NXT motors and sensors, it's graphic-based coding and it's very closed door, and like there's little customization, and so it's difficult to like do what you want it to do past like basic projects. So on the other hand, there's this thing called the Arduino, which is the circuit board in the middle, and it's an open source software physical computing platform that's based on a microcontroller, and it's played a large role in controlling other robots around the world. And so I've actually used that, and I've integrated a shield on top because of Arduino's open software philosophy. Many users have created their own applications to put on top of the shield. So you can have shields that connect to Wi-Fi, ones that have LCD screens, and then ones that can interface with the NXT Lego Mindstorms. And this is called the Bricktronic shield. So by using this board, I'm able to use the Arduino programming and use language similar to C++. And then the creators of Bricktronics, it's actually, they have tutorials online where you can learn about the functions that are specific to the shield that I've used. So when designing my robot, it went through 3 phases. The first one is on the far left, and the important thing to note here is the main goal is to see if I could control 2 fingers with 1 motor. And so there's a gear ratio here of 1 to 3, and so that gear ratio made it difficult when programming because the speed was inconsistent with each motor, and so that was thrown out and went to design 2, which is the middle one, and it's really complicated. I relied on a gear track for the piece to go up and down, and in the end it was also unreliable because it would slip, and it was back to the drawing board. So with the 3rd design, which is right here, this is the one that I used, I took out all gears because they were causing issues, and it's just using 2 different levers, and I changed the orientation, so one's on the top of the motor and one is on the bottom of the motor, if you see in that picture. So when one goes out, the other one goes down, and vice versa. So some calculations were done to figure out if this was even a plausible application of this. Of the materials. And so the first 2 things that I decided to find were how fast is the key going when it's being played, and then how long will it take for the key to depress 2 centimeters for the key to be able to be played. So in order to do that, I can take the derivative of the position at D, right here, because that you can find the velocity that way, and then use the velocity to find. So I'm trying to keep this basic, but so the position of D with respect to C, B, and A is right here. Like that's the equation to find it. And so by using that equation, we can then use position vector matrices right here. I know this is really thin, but it's basically being able to transpose these two vectors using sine and cosine. And by doing that, we're able to derive these 2 equations to find the position at C, the position at C with respect to B. And then the same can be done here to find the position at D with respect to C. So then the next step would be to combine the 2 equations, because we have C1 and C2 in that first D equation, and we found C1 and C2 in this slide. So then I can solve for the initial values by using the dimensions of the original piece, like the rigid body. And after doing so, the initial values, I can plug it into the equation found, and we can find the position at D. So then, take the derivative of the position at D to find the velocity. So I'm not going to explain that, but the velocity is at negative 32 millimeters per second. And by finding that, I can then find the time it took for the key to go down 2 centimeters, which is 0.625 seconds. So this created a time limit to have 2 adjacent keys on 1 motor, being depressed because 6.25 seconds to go down, and then 6.25 seconds for the other one to go down, so 1.25 seconds. So programming. In order to program an algorithm called the PID, or the proportional integral and derivative control algorithm, is utilized. This works by driving the motor until it reaches the desired rotation angle, and it can recall the relative position of each motor. And by using this function, the motor's location is always known, so it can be easily manipulated. Initially, when I was programming it, I would use 3 lines of coding, but that took a lot of space and it was really annoying. So I introduced the use of functions, and so the function, I can just create the function called timeNote, and then it'll play it'll go through all of the code, so I only have to type this once. So then the revised code just reads this, and then I can manipulate the number in parentheses for the delay and watch how long the minute was played. So some problems that occurred, the current and voltage draw on the motors, that became an issue because the motor would be able to play the song maybe one time around, and then it would just stop when maybe like 1 or 2 motors would play, and it was getting really annoying. So I did some more research, and I found out that each motor can draw up to 1 amp of current, and so I needed a higher power supply because I was only using one that had 2 amps of current, so 2 motors would work. So I found one that had 5 amps of current, but it was 12 volt instead of 9 volt, and it actually blew up my thesis. It blew up the chip, and that was like last week. So I had to scramble and go back to 9 volt because we knew that was safe, and find a 5 amp power supply. So because of that, I was only able to have 5 motors running consistently, but for the process of this future demo that you're going to see, I had 4 motors running just because of the song. It uses 8 notes. Yeah. So results and conclusions. Like I said, due to amperage limitations, only 4 motors could be used consistently. I hooked 6 motors up with the 5 amp just as a test, and it would run fairly well, but it would still skip out on some just because that current draw wasn't there. And then singular note play, trying to make it play 2 notes at once, the current again, it would shake the motors, and then they would like time out. So for the purpose of this project, I focused solely on the singular note play. And right now, I think I have 7 different songs programmed for the robot. You'll be hearing 1 of them. And then basically the biggest takeaway from this project is to expand the research for Bertronics and NXT motors, because I worked closely with a bunch of different LEGO enthusiasts and even the creators of Bertronic Shield. I reached out to them when I had the issue with the current, and no one else could tell me a specific example where anyone else was trying to use all 6 motors. And so this is really interesting because I can help other people improve their work. And then just some further study notes. Further improvements, again, ability to play more than 1 note at a time. I think if a higher power supply with a higher amperage rating were to be found, still at 9 volts, which is difficult to find, I think more than 1 note could be played. And then also the use of more boards and shields to be used simultaneously. Because my board only has 6 output functions for the motors, that means I can only have a 12-note range. So if there were more boards hooked up, via slave and masters, using the Arduino, you could have almost, theoretically, if you had high enough power supply, you could have the whole board, the whole piano covered. So I will give this. Let's hope it works, because has a little stage fright. And for the song, you just gotta have it in the right sound. motors just go in their own port. Alright. Wow. I promise you. Yeah.